Welcome to All-Aholics. My name is Michelle. All-Aholics is everybody. We don't care. We don't discriminate. I don't care how you identify as long as you're here. That's all that matters, right? Y'all tell me what has gone on this last week. We have 2 people from Haven House that are moving to Gratitude. All right. Quite the accomplishment. So a lot can happen in a short period of time, right? Because all of us in here were addicts way longer than 9 and 10 months, right? So, congratulations, guys. I'm very proud of you both. It's been an amazing journey. I've gotten to watch most of you grow in this program, in your recovery, because I've been around for 2.5 years. Actually, around Downtown Women's Center for 2.5 years. So I've got to see a lot of y'all. That makes me feel good, guys, because sometimes I get stagnant in my recovery as much as anybody, and I wonder, am I making a difference? Is anything I'm saying or doing making a difference to anybody? I know I'm only supposed to be doing this for myself. I should be most important, right? But sometimes, I have to believe that I'm helping somebody else in order to have the motivation to keep going, right? So it makes me feel good that. And don't take it personal if I don't remember you from Synacor. There were a lot of faces. So unless you were really loud like Beth. Yeah. And I went up to you and talked to you. But I'm glad that you remember me. That makes me feel good. So today I want to talk to you about some things, not to get completely off the subject of what Stephanie and Tolbert have been teaching about step 4 and about resentments and all of those things. As y'all know, I've been working in a workbook. A few of you know what it is, the Genesis process. It is definitely not for the faint-hearted, that's for sure. I wish I could recommend every single one of you. I wish every single one of you could do it because it's an amazing thing. I'm only on process 5, but it's already changed. I've already been able to recognize a lot of things in my life, but this is like a strictly, this is what's wrong with you, this is how God can help you fix it. Kind of thing, but it goes into depth about things that the steps don't. The steps are mostly drug and alcohol based, right? This is behavior based. What's wrong with your addict behavior? And I definitely don't recommend it if you've got less than a year, because it's tough. And the ladies that have already done it, hats off to you guys. Because I'm only on process 5 and I'm about ready to tap out, and there's 10 processes. And it's like, but it's going to be okay. I promised myself that I would not limit how I recovered, the steps that I took to recover, because I didn't limit how I was an addict. So this was brought to my attention and by someone that I trust, by Pastor Robert, and he was like, I want you to do this, and I was like, okay. And I'm grateful because it's taught me a lot of things. So to get kind of to the lesson tonight, what I want to talk to you guys about is when they talk about addictions, like the 12 steps, they're talking about alcohol addiction. We're talking about drug addiction or sex or whatever else. There's like 300 anonymouses out there, right? But what I want to talk about tonight is what this book talks about, and it talks about being addicted to your emotions. Now, there is one emotion that we're going to go over tonight, and why this plays, okay, talk about your addiction to your emotions and why it plays into your 4th step, okay? So one of the emotions that we feel, did y'all know, is stronger than heroin. What do y'all think it is? Fear. Nope. Anger. So, now, I'll tell you why. They have asked heroin addicts, how much heroin would you have to take for you to not be able to feel if I punched you in the face? Without being able to what? How much heroin would you have to take and not be able to feel if I punched you in the face? And most of them said right there on the borderline of overdosing, right? Yep.
It only takes just a little.
Now, guys, heroin was not my drug of choice, so I don't know. I'm telling you what. I'm just going off what the book has told me. Thank God I'm not. That wasn't my drug of choice. So why do we think? What are some of the things that you feel? Now, I'm not talking about aggravated because so and so, has something that you want, or I'm talking about rage. Absolute. You're shaking. You're sick at your stomach. You're crying. What kind of feelings do y'all think? What kind of feeling? How does that make y'all feel? Tell me how it makes you feel.
Out of control.
Okay, so who said powerful? Makes us feel big, and we're right no matter what. Right? We're strong. We're aggressive. We're powerful. Right? We're going to put Wonder Woman. Now, a lot of you, that was the high that you were chasing when you were doing dope. Invincible. One of the things that anger releases adrenaline, which releases endorphins, right? Which makes us completely numb to pain. Completely numb. Somebody could punch us in the face. Y'all have all been in a fight. Those of you that haven't, good for you. But we've all been in a fight. Somebody hit us in the face. We don't even feel it at the time, right? Because we are so pissed off that we're just completely numb. I mean, we're on autopilot at that point, right? So, that feeling right there is what they're saying is more powerful than heroin. It makes you completely numb. But you can still feel pain, little bits of pain. When you're in complete rage mode, you feel absolutely no pain. Right? Which makes us feel on top of the world, right? We're stronger than everybody else. I'm going to beat the heck out of so-and-so, right? I don't care how big he or she is. How many of you have gotten in a situation with a dude that's like 6 feet tall, 200 and something pounds, and walked into the situation, I'm fixing to beat the crap out of you? Okay, that's rage. Okay? But it is also a high that a lot of people chase. That feeling of invincibility, that being stronger than everybody else. And God bless you. And being powerful, more powerful than other people, right? That's actually a natural response. Our body naturally does that when we get mad, angry, like completely like fighting mad, okay? So it says here, when a person is really angry, he can be hit in the face and not feel it, right? Which is what we just talked about. Anger is stronger than heroin. Now, before we go into the other emotion that people tend to become addicted to, how many of you, now, we don't realize, but how many of you did any kind of drugs, except maybe this one, to get this feeling, right? We did it. I did drugs because I wanted to be better than everybody else. When I was on drugs, that's how I felt. I was stronger than you. I was smarter than you. I knew, all these things. All the things I struggle with now. All my insecurities were gone, right? If I ever got into a situation where I had to fight, I was ready. I didn't even have to be angry. I just had to be high, right? Okay. Right? So, okay, what do y'all think the next emotion is? How about anxiety?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Anxiety is also an anesthetic. It numbs you. When you get really, really anxious and you start to kind of have this panic attack, all of your senses shut down, right? You become completely numb to everything around you, right? Okay. It releases neurochemicals that cause the body to speed up. Now, by speed up, I mean it releases adrenaline. It produces hormones that speed up the body. It starts a natural response to emotional and physical pain, memories, and learned responses. What are some of the things we feel when we're anxious? And I'm not talking about, crap, I got a job interview. I'm talking about kind of a fight or flight kind of anxious. Okay, now physical responses When we get really anxious, a physical response would be, it's numb. Everything is numb, right? Some of you, your senses completely shut off. Some of you, they're heightened, right? Okay? So it's almost kind of like a feeling of maybe, I don't want to say euphoric, but it kind of is a euphoric feeling, like, oh, okay, as long as I can stay feeling like this, it's going to pass, it's going to pass, it's going to pass, right? As long as the adrenaline's running and the endorphins and the hormones. Anxiety actually also fights depression. Now, what makes you more depressed is if you stay anxious too long, it's the come down that makes you depressed. Y'all know, guys, sometimes when I'm really anxious, that's when I feel on top of the world. You know that? Because everything's numb. The fear is gone, right? I'm talking about the anxiety that almost paralyzes you. You go. It's okay. So what it says, anxiety serves as an antidote to emotional support. Draws attention away from what's bothering us. Oh, yeah. If you're so focused on being anxious, you're not even worried about what made you anxious to begin with. Now you're in survival mode, right? Okay. How many of you were addicts or alcoholics and were not in survival mode? You were never in survival mode? Ever? Okay. Okay, well, she is a very rare specimen. So now we're going to talk about how these two emotions can keep us from doing our step 4. Any suggestions? How can either of these two emotions keep you from doing a step 4? Now, there's going to be more than a few answers. They're all going to be right answers, so don't think that what you're going to say is wrong. Now, for some of us, I may have been one of them. May have been. I plead the Fifth Amendment. Okay? I was also addicted to the feeling that these emotions gave me. If I was angry all the time, man, I was on top of the world. Right? I was right. Nobody was going to be better than me. You see? Okay? My brain associated that feel good, that invincibility with this emotion. So most of us that were in survival mode, lived in survival mode, these were normal. Yeah. These two. If you wasn't angry and irritable and yes, restless, irritable, discontent, you were anxious about something. Yeah. It was one or the other. Okay? Okay, so they're saying in this book that a lot of us, it's not so much that we're so angry with what's going on. Our mind has said the only way to survive is to feel this. The only way to survive is to be anxious. So you hang on to that. You hang on to anything that's going to make you feel these two ways. Because that's what you know, because it's comfortable. Okay?
But change doesn't happen in comfort zone.
Right. Change never happens when you're comfortable. You are going to have an event that's going to bring you to your knees before you decide to change. Okay? So, how do you think that this plays in to people doing their step 4? How do you think these two emotions right here, why do you think somebody may be leery of doing a step 4? Mind you, for me, it wasn't that hard of a step. Why? I didn't put the most important person on the step. Because I wanted to hang on to the anger that I had towards myself. Because I had lived in this for so long. I didn't want to let it go. Because I knew how to feel about myself if I was mad all the time at me, right? Mad because I lost my grandbabies. Mad because Now, mind you, my daughter was an adult. I couldn't have forced her to be an addict, but I definitely showed her that that lifestyle was okay. You see, I probably influenced her decision a lot. Okay? So I was so wrapped up in being angry that I didn't work the step the way that I was supposed to work it. What do y'all think that did to me? Made me more angry. I self-destructed. What? Yep. Kept me stuck. Now, it didn't keep me stuck as far as forgiving everybody else, right? Or I had no resentments towards anybody else. I didn't. You know, what's done is done. I did some stupid things out there too, right? But now I'm having to really look at what's going on with me. Why? Because I find myself going back to old behavior. Now, I've told y'all that my most dangerous addiction is men, right? I have worked the steps 3 times. Never once have I acknowledged my sex addiction. Not one time. Really. Now, I addressed my alcoholism. I addressed my drug addiction. I addressed my codependency. But I didn't address why I hated myself to the point to where I thought it was okay to let these men treat me like this. Right? So, I meet a guy, and automatically the euphoric feeling comes back. That high comes back because I've got a man paying attention to me now, right? But it's the wrong kind of attention. It took me 3 months to see it. 3 months. Now, mind you, I am grateful because normally in the past I wouldn't have seen it until I had lost everything. You know? It took me 3 months to see it. Why? Because I was not ready to forgive myself. I was not ready to love myself for all the crap that I had pulled. For all the times I let men abuse me and take advantage of me and cross boundaries. Okay? For all the horrible things that in my mind I did to my grandbabies. I didn't do anything horrible. Okay. They got taken away from me. That's horrible enough. Right? Okay? All the things I put my daughters through. Because I've been an addict their whole lives. Okay? All the horrible things I put my mom through. I was not ready to let this go. So I could not love me. But I was convinced a man was going to love me and make me feel better. That a man was going to fix whatever was going on in here that I hadn't fixed yet. Had I done my step 4 correctly, had I been able to let this go the first time around, I probably wouldn't have fallen for it again, right? But I didn't. Why? Because I was hanging on to that. That's all I knew. That's all I knew was to be angry at myself and hate myself. I didn't want to let that go, right? So we become addicted to these emotions that we have and these feelings that the emotions give us. Some of you are addicted to fear. Some of you are addicted to what other emotion can someone be addicted to? Okay, sadness. Some of us could become addicted to sadness if that's all you know. That's how you're going to stay. Misery. But y'all see where not being able to let go of the feelings, the emotions that we have become accustomed to feeling because we were in survival mode for so long. This was the only way that we could keep going. Why? Because it numbed the pain we felt inside, right? So we don't want to do a step 4 correctly. We want to avoid that at all costs. We may put a few people down, superficial people, really, a friend in the 3rd grade because I took her pencil. Really? I mean, does that really? Okay. How many of you, probably all of you will raise your hand, which is going to make me feel stupid, but how many of you put yourself in your step 4? You were the only one? All of y'all did? You didn't? No? Step 4 is about resentments. It's about what did other people do to me? What was my part in it? Yes? Resentments is what did other people do to me? And then, why am I holding a resentment? What in my life was it affecting for me to hold a resentment? Was it affecting my security, my self-worth? All these things that, I apologize, I don't have a step stool in front of me. But it's why am I holding on to the resentment? What did it affect in my mind to keep me hanging on to it? And let me tell you guys, the resentments that I have towards myself, I don't even know. I don't know that I'll ever get over them completely. But until I can let go of the anger that I have been so accustomed to hanging on to, the hatred that I have for myself, I'm going to fall for the same crap, and I'm going to go through the same patterns, and I'm going to go through the same feelings of not being worth it. Why? Because those are the kind of people I'm going to attract, are the people that think I'm worthless. Right? Thank God, I can come into this room and I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about, because I'm insecure, very insecure with myself and my abilities. I'm trying not to be, because this is where God called me to be. So I have to be okay with that, right? But I can come in here and be insecure, and I'm not going to walk out of here thinking one of y'all hate me. What did I do wrong? Right? Because y'all don't care. Y'all really don't care. As long as I showed up, that's the most important thing, right? Y'all don't know how much that means to me. To be able to know, to know that I can come into a safe environment and still be broken and still hang on to all this anger, and y'all not be angry with me. But pain is definitely something that you can become addicted to. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just like attention.
Yeah, I love it.
Whether it was good or bad,
Yeah, like it was still attention.
people were noticing you.
Yeah. I'm like,
And in a way, don't lie, in a way, you're like, yeah,
yeah.
they remember me. Right? I thought I had it under control till I started getting attention. Guys, I jumped off the deep end with both feet. Now, the kind of attention I'm talking about is a character defect. Okay? That's what y'all will experience in step 6. Character defects. Okay? I'm trying to use it for good now instead of evil. So now I'm wanting to be the center of attention in front of a bunch of women. Right? Not quite the same feeling. It's a different feeling. It's something I'm not used to. Okay? So, are we understanding this right here? This is when we use anger to mask how we really feel. Okay? And the brain gets all out of whack, because you can't stay angry for very long, because afterwards you're completely exhausted. Those of you that have had panic attacks, anxiety attacks, man, you could sleep for days afterwards, right? Because your body has to get back to normal because of all of the hormones and stuff that it's released. So this is kind of off topic, but I wanted to ask y'all, because this came up in this book, and I'm watching the videos that go with this book. How many of you think that drug addiction or alcoholism is an actual disease versus a learned behavior? Y'all think it's a learned behavior? Both? Let me give y'all an example of what was in one of these videos. Okay? Now they say, what does it say? It says in the Bible that if you are going to act on sins, right? Gluttony, what are some other ones? Envy, sloth. Okay? You will suffer from disease, correct? Is that what it says? Okay. Something to that effect, right? I have an example for you. It says lung cancer is a disease. That's an actual disease. You cannot choose to have it, right? Right. Okay? But you can choose to stop drinking. For those of us that have a predisposition to alcoholism or addiction or whatever, right? After the first drink or after that first hit, we lose the power to choose. So if we lose the power to choose whether or not that's what we are, isn't it a disease?
Yeah.
Right? For those of you that still, I'm still kind of on the fence about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it could be both.
I think that it's a choice at first, but after like
That's just my opinion. Just because lung cancer is a side effect from your choice, right? From choosing to do something that is not healthy for you. Let me think if I can remember what he said. He said, you can't choose to be diabetic, right? But you can choose how bad your side effects are. Right?
Does that have anything to do with hereditary?
Right. That's not being able to choose. You can't choose to be diabetic. You don't choose that. We don't just wake up one day and put it on our bucket list, right? Okay, most of us don't. Some of us might. You know. You never know. I mean, I've heard.
You can choose to live as sick.
See, made y'all think, didn't it?
You really did.
I think that it is a disease. I mean, it is a disease. We can't choose whether or not we're going to be sensitive to that first drink. You know, we don't choose that. I didn't grow up in an addict family. I didn't grow up in an addict household, but by God, that's what I became. Why? Guess that's what I wanted to be when I grew up.
No.
Who knows? All right. So let's close in our usual